My name is Iben Hove Sørensen. I'm a biologist at the Danish Hunters Association in Denmark, and I'm representing CIC on the technical committee of AEWA, and also representing CIC on several of the task forces and international working groups of the Waterbird Agreement. I think an important part of the African Eurasian Waterbird Agreement is actually the involvement of stakeholders and the open environment. So I think it's important that we're here, we're showing our interest, and also engage with the other stakeholders, with the government representatives, and participate in discussions and decision making. The stakeholders are quite an important part of an agreement like this one. So we've been invited into the technical committee as well as in many of the other meetings. So there's 3 places for NGOs in the technical committee, and CIC is one of them. We've been there from the beginning. So the process in the technical committee is usually quite scientific. So there's a lot of input from various people with knowledge on particular topics. So often our input is sort of taken into account during the working process. So perhaps I haven't said many words during this meeting, but there's been a lot of meetings and emailing and things like that leading up to this meeting. So it was said during the first day of the meeting that the technical committee has been involved in producing maybe 2/3 of the documents that you see at the meeting of parties. So it's an important part of the process leading up to the meeting of parties. Normally during the discussions in, for example, the technical committee or in the working groups, obviously there's a few political statements, but most of it is science-based. So in the technical committee, we don't always agree on everything, but it's not often because of political agendas. It's usually because we maybe don't interpret data the same way, for example, and we have a discussion on that. So I would say it's mainly a scientific process leading up to the production of these documents. The nature of the migratory birds actually makes them cross borders regularly. On an annual basis, they cross lots of borders, and that demands or creates a demand for international cooperation on the conservation of these birds, their habitats as well. So some of them are actually split into several populations because maybe they don't visit all the range states of the entire species. So some of the populations might have to be managed at a population level instead of a species level. So it's important to know the delineation of the various populations, so you can actually cooperate with the relevant range states when you talk about managing a population. And of course, the ideal is to keep all the populations of a given species in a healthy state. I think one of the most important roles of the hunters in agreements like this and in environments like this is to make sure that the hunting is sustainable. And one of the really good ways of doing that is providing data. So providing bag data, providing information on whatever is needed. I mean, for example, in Denmark, we have a wing survey that tells you the age and sex of the birds that are bagged. So you can always get more information. And I think the best role for hunters is actually providing the data necessary for making sure that all hunting is sustainable. Regarding diseases like avian influenza, there's definitely a role as, antenna. You could monitor maybe the first few cases if you start seeing ill birds or dead birds, but also there's another role, which is behaving responsibly when you're hunting, or when you're in an environment. If you know that there's sick birds, make sure you clean your hands, clean your boots. Don't bring your dog around. Bring it back to poultry farms, for example. So you don't spread the disease. I think that's an important message as well.